Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Frightening Fridays. I am Neko Anonymous, and as always, I'm here with my co host.
Bunny.
Hello, Bunny.
Hello.
Any new horrific things going on in your life?
I don't think we have a long enough podcast for that, but yes, we watched some scary movies that weren't so scary and read a really sad, scary comic book.
And I bought a Count Duckula #1.
I love Count Dracula so very much.
I like Count Duckula too. I don't know exactly what it's. Well, I know what it is. It's a vampire duck, but it's like, it's like Disney didn't have the guts to make, you know, a vampire duck. Anyway.
I think it's because despite being, Count Dracula and he has this big, ego and bravado, he's just actually really, inept and inert and kind of a nerd. And I love that. That was me as a kid.
Oh, absolutely. All right. You ready to get into it, Bunny?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Today's question for, well, us and the listeners at home. Comment yours below. What is your favorite monster movie?
You want me to go first?
I can go first. It doesn't really matter.
Ladies first.
All right, so my favorite monster movie. I had a hard time with this one because I was thinking, I really do like some of the old classics. Black and white, Frankenstein meets the werewolf, the oldies, the goodies, you know,
Yeah.
Hammer, Dracula, um, things like that. But ultimately, I settled on Shin Godzilla as my favorite monster movie. Um, Definitely, without question. And I love giant monsters. I did greatly enjoy the new Godzilla vs. King Kong as well. Um, the story was, let's be honest, all the stories for giant monsters, movies, TV, it's all pretty terrible. So you know, you watch those things because you want to see giant monsters throw down or giant monsters destroy a city or, something of that nature. But occasionally you'll get one that does have, a good story, good effects, and I think Shin Godzilla is definitely it for me. What about you, Bunny?
Well, I was having trouble with it because I kept going like, well, I like this monster movie, but no, I like this one too. And like I was trying to figure out why I had so many of the same kind, and then I kind of figured it out. I am so basic and boring, I'm going to have to say it's Frankenstein's monster. That that trope. That is my favorite monster movie. It doesn't have to be a specific Frankenstein movie, like I'm not saying that. I like the created monster because like it's a repeat of my favorite theme is like, we are the monsters that we fear, we are the evil. And and most times, uh it is a human, I'm trying to think of the right word. It's a human catalyst that creates the monster. So you can apply that to a lot of different movies. Like even it was in the early 2000s, and I meant to look this up. I haven't. What is the movie where the really, attractive blonde alien chick is out to mate, but in order to mate with her,
Species.
species, yeah, you know, that it is a created monster. Maybe yes, it's an alien created monster, but it's like its purpose is very clear. It is what it is, and we can perceive it how we want to, but in the end, who's really evil. That's kind of like the dichotomy I like from Frankenstein's monster. And of course, it was, created by, the great grand poobah of science fiction, Mary Shelley Frankenstein. Yeah.
Indeed. I thought you were going to follow up the whole Frankenstein thing with May, because I remember you telling me you liked May.
Oh yeah, that's the whole thing. No, 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 you're right. So so my favorite like recent in the last 20 years horror movie is actually May, and it's the same trope. It's like who's really evil, who's really bad, We see May it's been out for a while, so spoiler alert ahead. Hey, if you haven't seen the movie May, but she's basically a lonely nerd, weird, uh but she does try to make the effort to reach out into the world and make human contact, make human connections, relationships, all, very Shinji, a la very Evangelion. And, you know, even though she's weird and everybody perceives her as it's really the people who she's interacting with who are treating her poorly. So she goes through this whole process of trying to reach out to these people. They do her wrong, they hurt her, and she ends up murdering them and collecting body parts to create her own friend. And that movie makes me cry every time at the end.
Aw. You brought up species and, aliens. Um, to give my, close second would definitely be, Alien. Like OG, Sigourney Weaver, you know, the orange cat, you know, thing. So, anyway, do you have any other thoughts on this before we move on?
No, we can move on.
Okay. All right. We're trying a new thing this week, listeners at home, where we do it all live, like the graphics on the screen, us talking, everything happens in real time. So I'm about to click a button and it's going to go into our topics. Oh, I haven't even said what our topics are going to be. Ah,
I
so
kind of did. I hinted at it.
you did. So this week we're going to talk about stray dogs, safer at home, and Dreamcatcher. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop into our first topic of conversation: stray dogs. So this is it just finished like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. 5 issues long. I'd say wait for the trade paperback unless you really want to collect some of the comic issues. Um, and the one of the great things about this is like all of the alternate covers for Stray Dogs, they're all horror movie homages, um, and some of them are fantastic. Some of them it took me a little while to pick up what they were laying down, like what movie they were going for. But yeah, anyway, so we're gonna talk Stray Dogs. Do you want to take us into this one?
Yeah, I kind of do. This run, this story is told all from the point of view of dogs, obviously, but it is an examination of a situation where we kind of enter into this scene of a very shy, what looks like to be, to me at least, like a long haired chihuahua. Um, Basically, her name was Sophie, right? Sophie? Sophie.
Yeah.
So Sophie is, she's in the park with her master, who is a woman, and she's like, don't be afraid, Sophie, go ahead. And I think we even go into like going to the vet, I'm pretty sure. Uh, and we're just seeing it, and then all of a sudden we are kind of just thrust into this new scene where she's being presented to a group of dogs. And this man's like, "Hey, this is such and such, Sophie. Here she is," and everyone's like, "New dog." And they all sniff her, and she's like, "Where am I? How did I get here?" And kind of leads into the mystery of this whole story. But I wanted to get your point of view. How did you feel when you started reading this? What was your impression?
Oh, all right. So I guess when this started, I mean, something's up. Because little dog is so scared and off put and everything. And I guess the thing that um, I don't know, the only thing I don't like was the beginning of the whole thing. It's like, so this is the first dog that came here that immediately has that feeling that something's wrong, something bad has happened, um, kind of a thing. Like, why am I
Really?
here? Yeah, like, what about the last dog that came?
Okay, well, that's the thing that we're thrust into this scene just like, Sophie is. Like, she doesn't know what's going on, but they establish in the very first 2 pages that Sophie, with her female master, whatever time frame that is, she's a very fearful dog. She's very anxious. She's very easily excitable. So, what I'm trying to say is, who better than her to have this lingering fear? Because, like you said, why is she the first dog to be so afraid? Well, when a dog is overly anxious and nervous, it retains that fear for a really long time, if nothing else. Like, for example, how many times have you heard about rescue dogs or dogs that have been abused by a man? And when they attempt to rescue them, they're fearful of any men who come to them. And they may not specifically remember who it was, the man who hurt them originally, but they see what originally caused them this this death death defying fear, like they're frozen, just by the vision of someone who reminds them of a memory they may not have, anymore. So who better?
Yeah, I guess you're right in that regard, but I do really enjoy that there's no time wasted, in this book, in this story. We get right to it. Uh, Little Doji is in this new environment. Something's wrong. You know, she's like, where's my other master? Like, I totally had another master. Something's wrong. And all the other dojis are like, nah, this is great. We can play outside, and here's where we poop, and this is the ball we like to play with, and this is where we bury our bones, and yeah, and we're not allowed to go in this room.
Like ever.
Like ever. Yeah, this room's off limits. This is the master's room. And so it was a good. you know I thought at the beginning this was going to be like really simple, really um like I didn't think it was going to have a lot of depth because the setup is so simple, but as it goes and we get to the end of the first episode, of course Sophie's like, Psh, I'm going in this room. I don't care what all you dogs say. I'm going in here. I need to know what is in this room. Um, do you want me to keep talking, or back to you?
No, I can go over it with you. No, but you're right. So we know Sophie knows something's up. Something's not, she doesn't remember her life prior to coming here, but she knows that whatever happened, something bad happened. So she's the one seeking out the truth. Like in any horror movie, in any, thing like this, when something bad happens, just just as in with the dogs, you've got your people who like aren't afraid of facing the truth, who are like admitting, yes, I'm afraid, something's wrong, something bad happened. We need to address it, right? We need to confront it and fix it. But then you have your other parts of your society where like you said, nothing's wrong. This is where we poop. This is where we bury bones. And oh yeah, our master has a locked room we're never to go into. And yeah, everything's normal. They're just accepting it. And as dogs, they even explain in the book and they show over and over again that dogs don't have a very have a very poor short term memory. Uh, or that they only really have short term. What would you say? Bad short term memory or bad long term memory?
Bad long-term memory, like good short-term, but bad long-term. Like it's more senses in the long term.
Exactly. And and then you have your sections of society who just don't want to admit it, not because they're evil themselves or cruel. They themselves just don't know how to deal with this bad thing, this negative thing. So they just Just deny. Just deny. They'll lie to themselves just to protect themselves. And then you have the people who are like, more uh, you know, willing to hear you out, willing to consider that maybe something's wrong, but their denial is growing stronger. They still deny that it possibly could. So it's a great way to examine how horror, even on a dog's level, that same thing happens.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I like the leader of the pack, as it were. He's all like, well, okay, so let's investigate, your feels and what you think's going on. It's worth looking into if it'll, calm you down and whatnot. And they start looking into it, and here on Frightening Fridays, we don't give it all away, but we give some of it away to entice you. Um, so the leader and our cute little heroine doggy, the Doges get into the forbidden room, and they find a lot of women's clothes and possessions and stuff. Um, which maybe he's just a cross dresser, who knows? But no, um, you know, uh, events occur, and Sophie ends up with a scarf. And she gives it a good sniff, and that like jogs her little doji memory, and she's like, "This is my master's. Oh my God, this asshole killed my master." Talking about the guy that owns all the dogs. He's like, "This asshole killed my master." And she starts freaking out, and all the other dogs are like, "Whoa, whoa, no! Like, we've totally known this guy forever. Like, that's not what's going on. You're confused. This is a new place. Like maybe you were given up for adoption. Maybe something happened to your master. Something.
Making excuses.
Making excuses, which up front maybe those are believable excuses, but this is a horror comic book, so we know where this is going. But yeah, and you find out, pretty early, from Sophie's perspective that, you know, yeah, this guy probably did something horrendous to her owner, but then she's trapped in this place. That's the real crux of this whole book is, now this person is trapped with someone who's meant to care for her that did horrible things to her previous owner. So, and like no one believes her. She's got somebody that's like, hey, it's okay. Maybe you're remembering this wrong, but for the most part, everybody's like, shut the fuck up. Like, don't talk bad about Master. It's,
Right.
we build from there, and I gotta say, it's a really good build.
Oh my God, after issue 2, you saw me just like belting through it, just like, "Oh no, the doggies, the doggies, the doggies." And I mean, I thought it was going to be too cute to be scary, to be, have to for you to build empathy for these characters and really care about them, but by the fucking end, I'm not giving anything away. God damn it. God damn this book. Anytime I like something that hurts my feelings, it makes me feel something, I go, fuck that. Fuck that book. And that's exactly what I said. It was just, my heart was ripped out.
Oh
But
yeah, there were a few moments where I was like, oh no, no, don't do it to the doji, don't do it.
okay,
Uh,
but we should give anybody who is a dog lover who is sensitive to animal abuse or blood or murder or anything triggering like that, you may want to skip this. It looks really cute on the cover, but believe you me, it is not. And while it's not excessive, like we do see things that are indicated that indicates, an assault, a place takes place in the stories at points, but nothing is blood and guts. But when it comes to the dogs, there is a lot of very gruesome visual images. So this is not for kids. If you see this cute little thing and you think, oh, maybe my preteen mind, I would say no. I would caution anyone below the age of 14 reading this,
uh,
honestly.
oh yeah. Um, PG-13, I'd say, But yeah, it's I mean, straight up, this is a horror book. Like you said, it looks cutesy. It looks like I wouldn't say Disney. What's that other company they made like Rockadoodle and All Dogs Go to Heaven? Um,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's that brand of animation, like very children's cartoons in the late 90s,
yeah,
early
yeah, yeah,
2000s. Yeah.
yeah. Totes. That's the vibe. I think they nail it, and man, it's good. Um, my only regret on this is we got in on it late. So I didn't, get any first prints or anything. Um, I'm getting in on like one of the reprints is like a Bram Stoker's Dracula homage, and the other one is like a 28 Days Later cover homage, but missed out on like there was an Evil Dead one and The Thing. Oh, there's another great monster movie, The Thing. Um,
Good one. Good one.
yeah, but yeah, I missed out on all those and it got options, so they're all like really expensive now. So I'm like, well, I'll just have to be okay with my fifth printing. Oh, but yeah, no, it's like really good, really solid. I will say at one point, and I don't want to give it away, but as you get towards the end of the book, I saw you go through a wave of emotions over there. Like you were like no, but then you're like yeah.
Oh my God. I was like sitting here just like flipping the screen off, just going, no, because it is that good of a book, and I blame you really for making me read it, but it's a good book, but goddamn this book.
Hey, I try and hunt down good horror. That's my goal. But yeah, no, it's really good. Um, I don't want to give too much more away because
You can't.
yeah,
You
you,
just
you
can't.
really can't. I would say at this point there's a trade paperback coming of this, so I mean you can read the whole thing for 15 bucks. That'd be the way I'd go to read it. And honestly, if I'd had to read one of these per month, I don't think I would have you know enjoyed it as much as slogging through the whole thing all at once. Now that I mean, read it digital, read the trade, whatever. Float your boat. I'm not here to tell you how to read your horror, but yeah, like I'd get the whole thing and just like go through it. It's not dialogue heavy either. I mean, there are some exposition dumps here and there, but for the most part, this is from a
This is a
dog's.
visual it's a visual book,
It is a
really.
very visual book, and from a dog's perspective, so it's all simplified, I guess, for lack of a better word. But yeah, totes good. I would easily give this 8 out of 10.
10. It's a 10.
10. My, a 10 from the bun. I believe that's your first 10 here on the podcast.
Yeah, it was that good. Even if but if for anybody else, like, just tread carefully, man. Just take care of your heart.
Just tread carefully, take care of your heart. I mean, I guess that's good advice. Dog lovers beware. Yeah. When do I get, a cat horror tale?
You already got it. It was that really terrible cat people.
Oh, no, I don't want that. I want a really good one. But yeah, no. Anyway, so there you have it. Average score between the two of us is a 9 out of 10. So that would be highly recommended from Frightening Frequencies at this point. I didn't have like a stamp ready to go to be like, solid 9 out of 10 from Frightening Frequencies to put up on the screen. But yeah, this is freaking awesome. All right. Any other thoughts before we move on?
No, no, just my heart's broken.
Your heart. All right. So, next we have a different kind of horror movie. Um, and it's called Safer at Home, which, as you may have guessed, is totally about people living in pandemic situation. Movie starts off playing, newsreels, like real newsreels. You probably have seen over the last year and a half, Um, and the premise of this, I thought I was really going to like this. Not that it's bad, but when you pitch something to me as a horror, thing, like, really high tension, a unique perspective of, this, I want to watch this now while, pandemic's still kind of taking place, D strain or whatever we're in right now, Delta variant. Why did I say D strain?
Got some vitamin D.
Get some vitamin D. But yeah, so it's very current, topics, and we always say, what's worse than the horrors of real life, and so this I really thought I was like, okay, all right, some people, you watch the trailer, it's some peeps on a Zoom call, and there's like some running, and there's tension, and you're like, okay, all right, this is the perfect time to have this horror movie. But
You want? Mm, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
What really just and it's not the movie itself that peeved me off so much as the way it was presented in the trailer. Because we did see this on Hulu, right? And we watched the trailer and we're like, oh, so it's like, a Zoom call or FaceTiming, only friends can. But there is one important note we have to confirm is that this movie is supposedly taken like almost 2 to 3 years after the initial COVID, struck in 20. It's like 2023 now.
Oh yeah, it was playing on the fear that, oh, this is gonna last, forever. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, totes.
So we're way in the future and it's getting worse and we're just kind of picking up that vibe. So that the first 10 to 20 minutes I'm really grooving with this story because that's how it was presented, and then there's like so everybody is like celebrating one of the couple's birthday, and it's the boyfriend, and he's like uh in the trailer they're like, oh, we're going to have fun like we were going to be in Vegas. So one of their friends has chosen to overnight them some, what was it, ecstasy, Molly,
I think it
whatever.
was Molly. Yeah, like
Yeah.
one of them sent everybody in the group, Molly, so they could take it and have a good time. Um, yeah.
And so the trailer's like, "Oh, we're gonna get crazy." And then after they take the pill, there's like kind of like a edited shot where they're talking about, "Oh, I feel weird." And it's like they're all grooving and having a good time. And then it picks up with the high intensity stuff you were mentioning. So I'm thinking this is like their cabin fever. They take some really weird designer drug that maybe is not what it's supposed to be. And all this chaos is going to ensue. And then there's going to be like, a discussion on the human beast and their habits and what happens when you corner them and all that kind of thing, like a microcosm of existential dread and you can't even fucking leave your house, that kind of thing. And I was like, that was my whole goddamn year last year. So I was good for it, but then it just turned into something else completely, and I felt it was misrepresented.
Yeah, I and that's how it started. This was, pitched as a horror movie. It's in the horror section when you go to search for things, and I don't think the movie was bad. I think it was well done, but all the marketing was hardcore. Hey, this is a horror. This is a psych thriller, is what I would classify this as. Um, and that there is. I don't. I liked the movie, but it wasn't.
It wasn't a horror movie, and
It
it
was not
wasn't
a
the
horror movie.
and even if it was just pure psychological horror, maybe, I was thinking, okay, so they're all like thinking they're gonna get loose as a goose, and people are gonna say things they're gonna regret, blah blah blah. But maybe it's like a placebo. Maybe like he didn't overnight them anything. It was like a fake drug to get them loose and to let go and have a good time, and that's where the chaos. Like, it says you the drunk you are, the more honest you are. So it's kind of like, would they have like this group experience of just like letting go, and after I figured out that it wasn't a horror movie, like they took something terrible and they all freak out, maybe it's more like a self-examination movie, and it's not even that either.
Yeah, it ends up being a a combination of wrong place, wrong time, bad decisions, and of course, tripping on Molly while it's all happening. Um, and I would say it's a good examination of the human experience. Yes, and I think it was I say shot really well, but obviously it was webcams, Zoom cams, cell phones, whatever. But I thought for a movie like that, because there have been quite a few movies like the Chat Room and stuff, that are horror movies. That one where some gosh, I can't even remember the name of
Friend
it.
request?
Was it Friend Request?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
that
like
was one of them. And there was one where some guy found a laptop, but it entered everybody in like their Zoom call into a dark web game where the contract killers were sent out to get them, and there are a lot of ways these go, and this didn't take any of those avenues. So I guess in that it does have a um, an original take on it. I guess I guess I was just let down because after watching the trailer, I saw like the potential. I was like, oh yeah, years and years into the pandemic, we're all still at home. It had like those high tension shots where they're like outside, running. You see like police lights and stuff, and it's like, oh, something bad's gonna happen, and something bad does happen, but it's not the thing you would expect. And you know, the end of it, that's where I decided, at the end when I was watching, I was like, oh, this is totes a psychological, thriller, or maybe a psychological horror because, the way it ends, that would be terrible, like awful, you know. So, and comes back. This was, an examination of the human experience in this the quote new normal. So yeah, I mean, it did that, but
I just think it was misrepresented. I think this movie was made exactly the way it was intended. Okay. I think the way the story they were trying to tell, an examination of the human experience and the way they do it, the scope, the angle, that's exactly I think what was intended. I think, however, it was like when it came to go on, Hulu, they marketed it as like a super psychological chaotic thriller, and that is not what that is.
no, it's not. But if I ignore, the marketing and what it told me, the movie was going to be, even like the written description of it, if I ignore that and just think of it as a movie, it's fine. It's good. I can't say it's not. Like I thought it was pretty well done. Thought it dragged on a little too long, but overall, I didn't think it was bad in and of itself. And if you like psych thrillers, like this maybe totes up your alley. Um, as a psych thriller, I would give this probably I don't know 6.5 out of 10. Pitching it to me as a horror movie and then having me watch it, I give you a solid 3 out of 10 though.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to go with a solid 5 on this because it is a decent movie, and for what it is and the way it's like, captured, uh, I wouldn't give it higher only because, like you were mentioning, there are definite parts where there was filler footage that just dragged the scenes way out. So just a 5 for me as a thriller.
Yeah, and there are some times when they're like outside after curfew, and the curfew is super enforced by the police and drones and stuff. It's a very hardcore police state outside of the safety of their homes. So when they leave their home, they're not safer at home anymore. And I thought that was like a really good idea, and some of the execution I thought was pretty good. But there's like one part where one of the characters is driving around looking for the other one, while he's running around tripping, on the Molly and stuff. And they're literally in a Zoom call together, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm at the old basketball court or something on Bark Street," And the other guy's like, "Yeah, I know. I'll be right there." And he's in a car. I really feel like he should have found his friend because you can only get so far on foot.
Yeah, so that's kind of what drug it on, but the actual essential of the story is fine. Execution's a little off, but yeah, it's a fine movie. So
Yeah,
that's really all I have to say about it, though.
yeah. I will say I enjoyed that they shoved one of the horrific things in your face for a long time. Just made you
Yeah.
look at it like, here, look at this.
Now you're right. I'm gonna have to go with you. It is a 6.5. I'm just taking my feelings in account that you're right. If I ignore all of the misdirected, see, here's what I think. I know that I know what it's trying to portray, that the real monsters are X, and that's fine. And that part is why I'm changing my vote now. 6.5 because it makes you stare at it. It doesn't let you look away. But I'm still just really kind of caught up in the fact that I expected something, and I guess it's different. I'll give it a 6.5.
6.5. Excellent. But yeah, I mean, I don't want my dislike of its advertising and how it's presented and everything to influence someone who, may think the idea of this is really awesome. Like I don't even think it was acted that bad. I mean one or two of them were, meh, but for the most part I thought, everybody in it did pretty well, honestly. Um
I think it's less about acting. Everyone acted just fine. I think it was again the execution. It lacked some editing, you know, oomph to make more impact with the performances that were delivered. And honestly, there's only so much you can portray in a, stock one shot camera per person. So there's also that too.
yeah, the format chosen for the movie does limit you because of, you're in a Skype call, Zoom call, whatever they were in. Um and I mean, that's why I say I think given what they were doing and playing into the whole safer at home thing, making that choice that this is going to be the Skype session, the Zoom call, the whatever, you know, it does limit you, but it gives you a chance to say, hey, this sucked. I'm going to show you some real horror now, and it does. And like I said, it makes you stare at it for a long time to like try and make you deal with it. It's like, look at this. Look what you did. Well, not you, the viewer, but it's yeah,
I think we can leave it there. I think it is for the limited method that they used, and the story itself is fine and good, and I liked it. Just the execution was just a little eh. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. Um, so you gave it a 6.5 amended.
yeah, amended. You're right.
Okay, I gave it a 6, so we'll just say, average. We give it a 6 out of 10 then, from us. Just go in knowing that this is not horror. This is a psych thriller. So if that's your boat, you might be sipping gravy tonight. So enjoy.
Ew.
What do you mean, ew?
Sipping gravy out the boat.
Oh man, I loved the gravy boat growing up. We grew up in the South. I'll give me that gravy on my mashed taters.
Yeah, and that's why you have to watch your cholesterol now.
There's the real horror. Oh, all right. So let's move on then to our next topic of the conversation: Dreamcatcher. Um, the first real, with something resembling a budget slasher movie to come out all year, 2021.
Are you serious, really?
I couldn't find another. Have you seen a slasher movie this year?
Are you saying the only slasher we've seen or the one that came out? I was trying to make sure.
Well, I couldn't find any more that had come out, like this year. I haven't even heard of any other ones that have come out this year. I mean, there may be. I mean, there's a million, independent, things going on out there. But this one's by uh, Samuel Goldwyn. What does that really?
The blue and gold look, the Masterson archive Pinocchio collection. I don't know. It's produced by a big company. Yeah.
Metro Goldwyn, something like that. Yeah, like it's a big real company that if you grew up in the 90s or early 2000s, like these people had a lot of your childhood going.
Yeah, and I want to say in advance that I don't have anything personally. I'm just, I don't know what this movie was supposed to be. I really don't. I feel like it had really good um, plot points that individually would have paid off if followed through to the end. But I think it's like somebody put too many plot point eggs in their basket.
I ain't even explained what this movie's about, and you're already putting it down.
No, I'm just saying ahead of time. This, if I sound scattered and why I have different issues, this is why.
All right, picture this, listeners and viewers, if you're on YouTube. You're a 20 something in college, haven't figured out life yet, and you like horror movies, and your long lost sister comes with her Australian boyfriend and invites you and your weird obsessed with you friend out to a night of, you know, techno and raves and EDM and glowy things all over you at this really cool DJ that, costs a lot to get into, but your sister has tickets. And so you go, and this DJ, he wears and this DJ, he wears this weird bird mask thing, um, and it's weird and it's freaky, but you're like pissed off at your friends and your sister and this weird Australian guy, and so you go and you find this DJ and you go up to his room and you take some really awesome drugs, and then and you have this crazy trip, like you're imagining everything and gore and sex and gore, and then you fucking
Violence.
your violence, and then you fucking kill yourself. That's how this movie starts.
And I'm just like I mean, just the first 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, so we've got long lost sisters, baby sister met at long lost sister. They have a troubled relationship. Okay, that's a great dynamic. And then we've got this other dynamic between her and her friend, basically friend who's in love with her, but she has rejected him. So he is, I hate to say it, quote unquote, in the friend zone. And, and there's another plot point. I'm like, okay, cool. And then she goes to the rave, and then she meets the super uber duper cool DJ who talks about the devil and junk and gives her some, questionable drugs. Okay, that's another plot point. And oh, yeah, she's going to stab herself right through the neck.
Did she stab herself? Yeah, she stabbed herself. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And we left out the an important bit. That the DJ, Birdmask DJ tells the girl and apparently everyone he meets, I made a deal with the devil to be famous. You know, come fly away with me to hell.
Come
Yeah.
fly with me, come fly with me.
So, in any event, enter the probable true evil to this whole thing. The DJ's manager, who's like, "Look, no one's gonna believe you. I eat people like you for breakfast. Why don't you let me just pay you off and fucking ignore the dead girl?" And yeah, and okay, super evil lady,
Okay.
and everyone's kind of wishy-washy. There's this one guy who's like, Shh, "I'll take the money. Peace out." And she's like, "Okay, meet me tomorrow at this, party, and I'll give you the money then." Um, and all these assholes go home.
They don't don't even, they're like, what are you going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm just like, your friend and or loved one just offed herself and she's dead. Don't you care? And it's like that's the part that kind of got me, that it's not that the story is bad. It's not, the many plot points would pay off if followed through. This is what I'm saying, is that the plot holes are just way too big. Like if you would just follow through
Now,
on this,
now,
okay.
the plot holes fix themselves at the end.
Okay, it is, yes, that is true, but during the whole movie you feel like you're just like, what are they doing? Where are they going? You lose interest and it doesn't pick back up even when you find out where the plot holes went, because you're just like, really? That's it?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on some points. So after they all leave, which whatever. I did think that was just dumb. Um. Anyway, so that night and the next morning, some people in and around the event, are stalked by this hooded figure wearing the bird mask of the DJ. Exact same one. Anyway, and let the slashing begin. There's a few classic scenes that would make Dexter fans happy. Killing people inside of the obligatory part of the apartment or building that you're in that's being renovated and painted with all the the drop plastic everywhere. A nice killing scene in there.
I have nothing to complain about in the killing scenes and the violence. Like that's spot on. Like no shame in their game.
But
They did a
isn't
good job.
isn't that like 90% of what a slasher flick is for? Is for the death scenes?
I will stand by Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, and I will say this till the day I die. I don't care how flimsy the plot is. I don't care the special effects, how good or bad the writing is. If I don't care about the characters, I don't I don't care about the story. And I did not have any empathy for these fucking characters.
I know it was super hard to care about the characters. Like, it's like, gosh, I just hated all of them after they left the party with their friend dead. Um, I was like,
And this is not a reflection on the acting skills, because actually the acting skills was actually, I was like, oh man, they're so point on. The bitch manager, the lackadaisical, love, a friend who's in love and is rejected, and the long lost, like all of that stuff's on point. It's just the actual depiction of them is so two dimensional. Like there's no character development at all.
yeah, there's not. But of course, then you're treated to the whole, who's the killer thing, which is, I guess, standard for a slasher flick. We got to figure out who it is. Of course, you think, oh, it's the freaking DJ because we're in the mask. But there are times where you see the DJ and the mask thing at what you're led to be are roughly the same time. So it's hard to say it was the DJ. Um, you know, a lot of people die in this.
A lot of people die, and like I said, the actual killing, like, those parts were good, but I don't give a good goddamn about these characters. Like, I just don't. And it's, again, not the actors' fault because they did do a good job, it's just the way they were portrayed. And on top of that, the plot holes are fixed with one big, big stitch, and I'm just like, "Oh."
Well, to be fair, on the plot hole, if you recall while we were watching it, what 30 minutes before the end or something, there's an event that occurs, and I was like, oh, you see, this person did this, and they didn't do that, so that's got to be, you know, insert name of killer here. And I was totes right because I was like, makes sense.
I guess, but the I think the biggest thing that kind of just punched me right in my lady nuggets was after the big reveal, in which it's fine. It happens. You figure out what it is. Um, I'm really not that upset about that. But there isn't. If you've ever seen, uh, what is it? Oh my God. Uh, Not Bill and Ted's. It's the Mike Myers movie with where he's uh doo-doo-doo-doo. Oh God, why am I can't remember.
Doodle-doodle-doo?
Mike Myers, he plays the guy who lives in his parents' basement doing the public access cable show.
Wayne's World?
Wayne's World. Ah, that's what I was trying to say.
Oh, doodle-doodle-doo!
Okay, so you remember from one of the Wayne's World movies where there is like I think he's with Cassandra and like, they're making out and they say gratuitous nude scene
Uh-huh.
that makes no fucking sense or serves any
Mm-hmm.
purpose.
Mm-hmm.
We get one of those at the very end for no fucking reason.
We do. We do. We do. Yeah. You, you want to know my biggest complaint with this? If they could have chopped out like 20, 25 minutes of like the character dialogue that I was snoozing through, like from the all right, so they go to the rave, weird shit happens, girl offs herself, and the friends are like, "Oh, Devo manager said she'd pay us. Maybe we need to think it over." Stop there. Everything between there and when they go to the party the next night to, collect or confront, or they all have their own motives when they get to the party. But everything in between there, I was like, "Oh, I don't care." I
It could have been
just
cut.
it could have
It could have been cut.
been cut down. Like it took me so far out because I was like, okay, premise is, all right, this is a slasher. I don't expect great things. Let's get to the next night. Let's get to the killing, and let me figure out who the bad guy is, because I always like to figure out who the masked person is, and I totally did. Um, and it was just like, oh, I don't care. Stop talking to each. There's a scene where the friend zoned guy, like goes out for a run, and you think at the time like he gets back and he's like hurt himself or something, and you think, oh, okay, maybe this has, this is a breadcrumb. This is a story piece that's gonna, come up later, or the discussion, like, the sister and the Australian dude are like having on a bed together for way too long. You're like, okay, you're giving me some info. Something's gonna come of it. Man, all that's just nothing. Like it's, if you could have cut out that chunk and just went straight to the party the next night, I would have liked the movie significantly more.
Significantly. It was just pacing and yeah. So, uh, I feel like if you want something where you're just gonna be like, "What the fuck?" like every other second or like every other 30 minutes, go ahead and watch it because it is a good ride. It's just it is not what it's just not executed the way it should have been. There's a little pacing problem, but other than that, I would give it for a slasher flick 6.
For a slasher flick, I too am going to give it a 6. I mean, the slashing was good.
More violence. Cut out the boring crap and put in more blood.
More violence now! uh, but the
Because there are some flicks that have no fucking story. Like it's thinly stitched together with gum and spit, but just the horror and the blood and it works. Not so much here.
yeah, I feel like it started out good. The ending was, I expected it once we got there because I'd been paying attention. Like I said, I was picking up, weird little crumbs that I thought were going to lead me somewhere. I was really digging in, I like figuring out who the slasher is, but, it got to the end and none of that mattered. And, ugh. But, once they're back at the party and, the slashing begins again, and, how nobody at the party heard the guy in the garage get off, I'll never know, but that's neither here nor there. Um, slasher's gonna slash. What can I say? You expect that in this type of movie. It's
It is what it is.
yeah. I mean, slashers in general are not that great of movies, on the whole, but I do enjoy them because of, I don't know, probably some sort of weird catharsis, I guess. It's like, yeah, you're a piece of shit human. Die, trash, die. Like the little baby Yoda meme where he's sitting in a little
Yeah.
pod going, yes, die, you know. Kind of like that. It's like you want the people that are breaking the rules, that are, the bullies, the whatever. You want them to get slashed. You want it to happen. So,
This is taking an incredibly dark turn, I just must say.
we're horror fans. We have to embrace the darkness.
So yeah, and that's what slasher flicks do in horror. They let us confront the bad things that we think about, intrusive thoughts. And there is not, and I'm not saying that it's normal to want people to die. No, we're saying that in the course of a movie, in a slasher flick, we are encouraged as a part of a morality play to cheer for the punishment. We are a capitalist punishment society. We reward it. Um, and that's all it really boils down to when people do like slasher flicks. It's not meaning that they're bloodthirsty or psychotic or anything like that. It's just you do feel a sense of catharsis when you see the baddies, the bad guys, get their justice.
I thought
But
you were going to say just desserts.
I couldn't think of it. But I'm kind of wrapped up. I think that pretty much sums it up.
Well,
It's a good, yeah.
yeah. I just, to be fair to it, if you watch, the OG 1 and 2 of, uh, Friday the 13th, it's got some hardcore lulls in it too. Let's be fair. I watch those and I'm literally just waiting for, the next, sleazy, teenagers. Well, they say they're teenagers. Those actors are in their 20s. I'm just waiting for the next pair of sleazy teenagers to wander off to start getting it on so the slasher can go kill one of them, chase the one they didn't kill through the woods, and kill them in a more grotesque way. I mean, that's what the slasher movie is.
And in fairness, that's what it is. But just like I said, the pacing, the execution. But if you like slasher flicks and you like to be surprised, this will get you there. Just don't expect to have be super involved with the characters. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, they'll want to be super involved with you, but it won't mean much. they're just they're just talking heads that you can ignore for a chunk.
Now that's not fair to the actors. They did do a good job.
They did do a good job, but I mean, honestly, if you recut the movie, like my six would go up to 6.5, 7 if you literally had them leave that rave and show up at the party the next day with minimal stuff in between. Like, I would enjoy the movie more.
All right. Well, any final thoughts about our selections or topics of today?
Our topic so today. Um, no. If you like slashers, and there hadn't been many new slashers lately, go see Dreamcatcher. If you like psych thrillers, go watch Safer at Home. Highly recommend Stray Dogs.
Highly.
Absolutely. It's the first combined 9. That's the highest rank we've given anything so far in this podcast. Like, I don't know. I would have given Nice House on the Lake a solid, 9 as well. But I don't think we were assigning values back on episode 1.
Probably not. Okay.
All right. Is it my turn or is it yours?
It's your turn.
It's my turn? All right, listeners. Thank you for tuning in. Please let us know in the comments below if you have something horrible you'd like us to watch. And as always, please have a frightening Friday.
Bye. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye!